Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date it is May 21st, 2016. This is sort of just a video blog. Uh, I've been using, well, I had a site up in 1982 that continued until 1995 when the World Wide Web was invented, and then my site went to the World Wide Web, which it is still there, Howard's Notebook. So I have been using, the internet before, well, I was online before there was an internet service provider in Kansas City, Missouri. Um, so I've been through, 300, starting with 300 baud, 1200 baud. Now I have Charter 60 megabytes down, 5 up speed, which is okay for me. But uh, I've always wanted the fast connection speed. And here there is, this was on CNN, money site, uh, something called G.Fast that is coming. And it is going to be blazingly down high speed and up. It's going to be the same up and down. It's going to be great. And they're talking about it maybe this year or later this year. And it's sort of a DSL service, but improved. So I hope that comes. Really, we have fast speed. We don't need any, but I still want it, of course. And it would help me. These videos take a little bit to upload. Of course, the longer they are, the bigger the file size. But anyway, this is just rambling. I have a ton of Amazon reviews that I have to do. That's just 4 or 5 of them. I can't find the video right now, but there was a young man I saw, and I think it was on YouTube or not YouTube, CNN or the Huffington Post. And I don't think this is for the e-cig. I don't think this is e-cigarette. I do think these batteries are used. I believe the 18650 are used, I think, for people who smoke e-cigarettes. But there's this other thing which I really do not know anything about that is real popular, I guess, with young people, where you inhale vapors or something, and I guess there's something in the vapors. I'm not sure if it's nicotine or not sure what in the hell it is. But I saw the video, and it was one of these type of batteries in it, because that's what these type of things, whatever in the hell they are, use. In fact, I think they even show one of them, one of the batteries down here. Well, they talk about it, that what it makes up, what this thing makes up. The vape mod starter kit, if you happen to get one of those. And anyway, a young man was using it, inhaling this or whatever, and apparently the battery blew up, and it was like a shotgun blast it blew a hole this big in his tongue and blew his teeth out. Lucky it didn't blow the back of his head off, I guess. So I'm going to be looking at these batteries. I've reviewed some of these batteries. I've got some batteries on the way that have protection built into them. And so I'm going to have to see, the batteries will be slightly bigger. Just slightly. Going to have to see what devices that, they will fit in. It's still a 1865Z, but so I'm going to be testing them and looking at them. But in the meantime, if you're doing anything with, well, any kind of batteries, but especially with these, the extra big batteries like this, I wouldn't be putting anything, a battery, I wouldn't be putting, not in my mouth. But I've got some lights where there's two of these batteries on the back of your head, in a box at the back of your head. So anyway, I'm going to be looking at that, and I'll report back on that. But do be careful if you're using one of these things, or the what do you call it? The smoke things, where you're not really smoking, but just be careful. Be careful with any batteries. Batteries. I've never had a battery explode, but I have had some overheat where I picked up then it was NiCad, I think, a radio, and the case was about, to melt or whatever. But I don't remember one ever exploding. Be careful jump starting cars too. I don't think I ever had a car battery explode, because working hospital security, there was times when weather was really cold, and I would spend entire shifts jump starting, cars. Of course, we couldn't just use our patrol car battery. Sometimes we had another battery in the car, but then it got where we had a generator in the back of the vehicle, or we had another system, other systems to use. But be very careful, because I know a bunch of people came into the emergency room before where car batteries blew up in their face. Find out the correct way if you have to jump start a car, that you hook them up. Find out. I'm sure probably some instructions come. Be very careful, and don't get your face over either one of the batteries when you're hooking it up the correct way. What else what I wanted to mention, I found this out on YouTube at the Young Turks. We use Uber and Lyft a lot. We don't have a car. We use Uber and Lyft a lot. And Uber is a lot better because in the past, I don't know how many times in the past, now in the past we had a car, but I don't know how many times in the past where we needed a cab service for some reason. Or I was working at a hospital and somebody there would be trying to get a cab or but where you just couldn't, you call a cab and they just don't show up. Or they tell you, recently we did use a cab. Well, we tried to. I was at a police station, and my cell phone went dead. I was going to call Uber or Lyft. My cell phone went dead. So I asked the police officer at the police station to call a cab for us. And he said, okay. And I deliberately stood outside of the police station, but where he could see, the guy at the desk could see me standing out there. And so I was out there. After about 30 minutes, I went back in, and he said he'd call again. And so I went back and I stood out there for another 30 minutes. And so after waiting for an hour, I went back in, and the officer said, just a second, he said, he would call. And the cab company told him, Well, we showed up and they weren't there, and the police officer said, no, they were there. I've been watching them standing right out there, for an hour. So, cab services have done, have caused, they're upset because their drivers are being hurt and Uber is hurting them and all that. I worked at hospitals, especially because it was especially like nights, where we just couldn't get a cab. A cab would not come to the hospital. Period. You'd call them. They might tell you, no, we won't come, or they'd say, oh yeah, okay, we have somebody on the way, and I would either have to end up driving somebody away from the hospital if it wasn't too far, because I just didn't want them at the hospital, or let them wait in the waiting, go get them a few snacks and get them a blanket or something and let them stay in a corner of the waiting room or something there. So cab companies, I don't feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for the drivers, some of the drivers, maybe all of the drivers. But okay, this I did not know. Since we use Uber and Lyft, we've had the surge thing. They have Uber let's take Uber. Uber has low rates. I've been happy with the service, and the rates have been okay. But a time or two, I've had to end up paying extra because there weren't enough drivers, and they kicked in the surge thing or whatever. Well, it turns out that Uber knows that a customer is willing to pay up to 9.5, I think it is, percent more if their battery is low. So Uber is monitoring your cell phone, knows what condition your battery is in, and so when I watch this, I'll put the link to this below. The Young Turk story. So when I was watching this, I thought, well, they can, but they're probably not monitoring your battery. They have the capabilities. They're probably not monitoring. And then in this report, as I was watching it, Uber says, well, yeah, we do monitor your battery because if your battery is low, we're going to adjust the refresh rate or something to make your battery last longer. That's bullshit. That is bullshit. So I tell you, corporate greed is unbelievable. Okay, I talked about the high-speed internet that is coming. It is, let me go back to that. They gave the speed here. Unbelievable. It's, capable of 750 megabytes down, and I believe the same up. I'm getting 60 megabytes down, but at 5 up. And this is easily 750. So, come on, high-speed internet. Oh, I wanted, let me kill the sound on this, but.
Yahaira Castro remembers the excruciating pain in her broken left.
A high-speed police chase in Florida, and the officer goes through a red light at an extremely high rate of speed. The reason I wanted to comment on it, down in the comments underneath the video, and I'm not sure if it was this video or if it was someplace, here we are. The State Highway Patrol ended up giving the police officer a ticket for excessive speed or unsafe speed, whatever. They gave him a ticket. The comments that I saw, almost all the comments said, well, the police officer, these other people should have seen the police officer because he had his lights and siren going. And I think it was kind of late at night, too. No. And that is mentioned here, and that's the reason that the police, but there were, the comments were, well, the other drivers weren't paying attention or whatever. Even if you're a police officer or an ambulance or a fire truck or whatever, you have to exercise caution, even if you're chasing suspected armed robbers. You just can't go through, even though the person you're chasing, and maybe you should break off the chase. And that's something that I knew I don't want to get into that story, but I just wanted to comment on that. There is now the small town police department that I worked for. I think I can count on my hand the number of, I think I can count on a couple, 2 or 3 fingers, on the number of high-speed chases that I had to get in. One was the next time I worked, there was a car accident where 2 brothers were in the car. One was killed and the other was very badly hurt. We had to call. That was the first time that in that area that we had used the helicopter service. It was brand new, and they had to call it in for that. So the next time I went out, and in order to get a ticket from me, you had to be, I just did not issue tickets. Very difficult to get a ticket from me. If you got a ticket, you were probably an asshole. I went out the next time that I was on duty to that area and set up radar, and most of that shift I ran radar in that area, and I think I gave 3 tickets. And one was to the postmaster's son, and the other 2 were to firefighters, volunteer firefighters, who had responded to that fatality accident or whatever, and I gave them both tickets. And I was out there, that was the night I was out there, and we had the radar unit with the gun that you're holding, and it was quiet, late at night in a rural area, and I was running, and the thing went 99 for 99 miles an hour, and I actually I sort of shook it, like, what? And then I saw the car coming, and I took off, and then immediately, he was doing 100 miles an hour, and I took off, and it just very quickly then I was outside of the city limits, and I continued on. And then he turned down a gravel road, and I turned down the gravel road, and then the dust was so much that I shut down the chase because it was just dangerous to him, and it was dangerous to me. I couldn't see. So you have to use you got to use your head. Now you're thinking, now maybe you're the opposite, one of these people that hate all police officers and law enforcement or whatever, and you're saying, oh, he got a ticket, he just got a ticket is all. Even if he hadn't have got a ticket, this lady who was injured here, in this video, her lawyer is saying they're suing. And they're going to sue him, and they're going to sue the department that he works for, and they're going to sue the city and everybody. And they're going to win some money. So anyway, what else did I want to tell you? I tried to do a video, or I tried to do a review of this callus remover or whatever, and I guess I didn't get it done quick enough. The product is now not available on Amazon. And it wasn't that long ago that I received it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.